Hello and welcome to Ear to the Ground. On tonight's programme we meet the faces behind food in Offaly and find out how to get your steak through the post instead of at the supermarket.
Later I'll be meeting the classical music fans from County Mayo, but first I must go and meet Santi. OK, let's go. The hills of Mayo were alive with the sound of music when local people brought the music of Bach to Beaufort. During the summer, the fantastic weather and beautiful scenery around Nephin Mountain in North Mayo was matched only by the music at a unique classical concert held in the local church. For local farmer Pat Coughlin, it has become an event not to be missed.
The concert in Beaufort now for this weekend, it means a lot to me, and it means, I'm sure, a lot to other people that's interested in classical music, and some that might be just beginning to have an interest in classical music. When I was younger, of course, I was into Bob Dylan and Van Morrison, and then as I got older, I got kind of interested in jazz, and that kind of led on to classical music, which seems to be fairly common enough. But when I was younger, I had no interest at all in classical music. Somebody gave me a tape of Vivaldi one time, just an ordinary cassette, and it was the Four Seasons. And I don't know, it just struck a chord somehow. And I listened to it, and I listened to it again and again. And every time I listened to it, I got something different out of it.
This was the third year of the concert, and tickets sold out fast in the local post office across from the church, owned by one of the main organisers of the event, Tom Rowland.
I love all types of music. I wouldn't be into any specific music. But I've been converted to classical. The type of music they play in the church, it's a light classical. It's very easy listening, and I'd be converted to that type of music. Even Lyric FM, I'll switch it on every now and again and enjoy it. Where 4 or 5 years ago I wouldn't have listened that much to it, no more than any type of music, but since I started this, it has really grown on me. Some people have an idea that classical music is all highfalutin stuff, but it's far from it. There's some lovely, fantastic music in it also.
The concert is a chance for three friends who are each highly respected musicians to meet. They've all toured the world and have been very much in demand for their performances in orchestras such as the London Philharmonic and the Academy of St Martin in the Fields, as well as being critically acclaimed recording artists. Violinist Ian King moved to Ballina from Britain 6 years ago, but what inspired him to invite Robert Irvine and Fali Parvri to play together in such an unusual setting?
This idea of actually bringing music to perhaps a community that's never, or doesn't regularly, or perhaps has never had any music in it. And so really it was a kind of idea because I'm here, and I thought wouldn't it be fantastic if, rather than me having to go to abroad to play all the time, if I actually brought some fantastic world-class musicians over here, just see what happens.
We really enjoy the concerts. You know, 'cause it doesn't have the kind of same stuffy atmosphere that you might get in some more formal settings, you know, and it's great because we've got to know most of the audience one way or another. You end up at a party or in the pub or having a cup of tea in somebody's house, so we've kind of got to know a lot of people in the audience now, and I think they really appreciate our kind of style of doing things, where we do kind of...
It's much more informal than we would normally give a concert.
Yeah.
For example, I don't play on a piano, I play on an electric clavinova, which is different from what I normally do, but it's fine and works very well in this beautiful church. And we introduce all the pieces and we talk about them, chat a bit, and the audiences really respond. It's a very sort of warm, appreciative audience, and we appreciate that too.
And do you know that this piece that we're about to play made him so famous and so wealthy that he never worked again?
They tend to play pieces from a good few different composers, where other classical events might be 3 or 4 or 5 composers, and the pieces would be longer. And their approach to music, it kind of brings the audience more into it than maybe some other. It's not as distant as sometimes the audience is very removed from the musicians, but they include the audience, and then they might tell a bit of a story about how the piece is composed, or the composer, or maybe how it was arranged, or how they got it, or wherever they got it. They make it sound very interesting.
You couldn't stand up in the Royal Concert Hall and start trying to talk to people. I mean, no one would hear you for a start. But it just wouldn't be appropriate at all. And so you do feel kind of cut off, and there's critics there, and there's all that kind of thing. So this is completely different. This is much more enjoyable in lots of ways.
I think it's wonderful. I think it proves that we're not completely devoid of culture in the West.
It just shows that with a bit of effort and a bit of thought, there is community spirit alive, and it's just there to be harnessed.
It's not usual to have a classical concert in a rural area, which is an awful pity.
I thought we'd be occupying 2 pews in the front of the church, and it seems that everybody wants to be part of it.
Thoroughly enjoyable, and I just wish we had some more.
The country people, you cannot really beat the country people. If you want something done, you have a community spirit, and that's what you have in Buffy.
The idea of taking classical concerts out of the concert halls and into intimate rural locations has been popular in countries like Germany for some time now. It's something that Ian King would like to see more of in Ireland.
And my ambition would be to emulate that in Ireland, where you would get a succession of interested communities and we'd all get, we'd all string each other, we'd all join up. And so rather than the boys coming over and we do Buffynon a couple of times a year, then we could perhaps go on and go down to Limerick or over to Galway or whatever, and actually perhaps do a few more of them. That would be my ambition. That would be great, because then I get to do more concerts with these guys, you see, which is the most important thing for me.